Yo, what's up YouTube? It's Hypesuiter here. I just want to take a quick second in this video to shout out Stu Gaming for shouting me out in his video about the same exact team I'm about to cover. But anyway, enough of that. So what I'm showcasing here on this video today is a team I cooked up on the test server using, I would say, some relatively budget characters that a lot of you guys can acquire or already have. And it is getting an incredible amount of damage. More damage than some very whale heavy, high spender accounts can achieve. So this team is using a few epics and only one legendary that you would have to have pulled either from a dice or summoned from the horn. The rest of them are all attainable through, epics are pretty common. So, a lot of you guys in Season 2 by now should have Garius. Also, Girthin and Bledin, if you summoned on the new season banner, at least 30, 40 dice. There's a good chance you could have got one or two of these. Maybe you have both of them. And then Ardreth is an event character that everyone can get as long as they, put in some effort during the event and get enough of the crystals, which I think is honestly not that hard this season around because everyone from Season 1 till now has been getting more legendaries and a stronger account, and so it's much easier, I feel like, to get a event character like her than it was to get Utyr back in Season 1. So I just want to showcase here the damage. This is one of my best runs, and I have a VOD here because the run takes so long to do on the live server. So I have a VOD of one of my best runs, 64.8 million. We live to 240 stacks. Now, most of these unkillable teams that, quote unquote are unkillable, they can only survive to 150 stacks. That is when the boss ignores immortality. So those Ogok Zephy teams that everyone's using, their goal is to get as much damage in 150 stacks as possible. Their whole team is built full damage, the glass cannon, and then as soon as 150 stacks comes around, they die. They get one shot, they get destroyed. This team, I would say, arguably, is better than Unkillable because it lives longer. If you can squeeze similar amounts of damage into this team, you can get more damage because you're surviving a lot longer. So the way this works, and this is something that I thought about making, like while lying in bed, just thinking about, okay, what can I do? What shenanigans can I come up with Ardreth and the staff? Because Stu covered a video, which I watched, about how the staff interaction with Ardreth just equals massive heals. So using massive heals and massive shields. So using Ardreth with Garius and staff seems very OP and abusable, and I tried to think about how I could abuse that on Vortex because this is my favorite area of the game that I like to min-max. So I did some testing, trying to see if I could get 100% uptime on shields on every hit the boss does. That was maybe a little bit overly ambitious. That didn't happen, but I found something nearly that, very close to that, nearly perfect. We do get hit once by one person every 2 rounds. Our tank gets hit once every 2 rounds. That's not a big deal. That's nothing. And with how tanky Garius is, he can handle taking a hit here and there, right? So 240 stacks, 64 million. I'm going to go in game and showcase more about the team. So here in game, we have the team here. And I want to just go over everything systematically, step by step, because there's a lot involved with this team. It's not a new player-friendly team. There's a lot of interactions that you might not understand why they work the way they do. So first off, I'm going to go one by one and cover Sagir. So the reason why this team works is because of Sagir. This is the one character you cannot replace at all to make this, this like perma shield team even function. He needs to be in the team. I've tried other people who increase turn meter. None of them work because their targeting works differently than Sagir. Now, these two damage dealers, Bledin and Girthin, these are interchangeable. Any 2 damage dealers, any season. Next season, it might be Radiant and Fire. You could put some burn guys in. You can go Ascetius and Karf, or you could go Flora and some other wild. You can do whatever you want. But as long as you have these 3 Radiants, these are what is making you unkillable. These need to be in the team. So starting with Sagir. His passive here, it says, provides a character to the ally with the lowest current HP, and it recharges their ultimate energy by 20%. This allows us to get a cooldown of our choosing much lower, than it actually reads. So right now, my Garius, his cooldown is 16.7. But you'll see here, when I have him timed, edit skill timings, I have him going every 13.3, and you must be wondering, wait, how can he ult 3 seconds more than his cooldown? Well, it's because Sagir is targeting him with this passive and giving him 20% extra ultimate energy all the time. And the way we can make Sagir target Garius, there's only one way to do it. This is kind of maybe not intended. It might be a bug. Who knows? Maybe the devs end up fixing this. But one thing I figured out back in Season 1 when I was coming up with the Sagir arena meta was that his targeting isn't based anything on who has the lowest HP. It's on who has been placed into the arena first, if everyone has full HP. So in this team, no one takes any damage. They always have shields up, so they're always considered full HP. So they always have 100% HP. Now, whenever everyone has full HP, his targeting works for whoever was placed into the arena first, because for some reason he sees that everyone is full HP, so he chooses whoever was put into the arena first. For some reason, that's how his targeting works. So we put Garius in first, Sagir after, and then with this setup, even if I had 200,000 HP on my Garius and my Sagir had 1 HP, as long as Garius and Sagir are both full HP, for some reason, the carrot's always going to go on Garius. It's just how he works. It's just how his targeting works. And, Megan and Adolphus and other characters that can turn boost, they don't work that way. They're going to, when everyone's full HP, they're going to turn boost whoever has the lowest total HP. So whoever had the lowest amount, probably one of your DPS or, one of your supports or something, not your tank. Because we need our tank to be the one getting hit. And so he has to have the highest HP on the team. So Adolphus and Megan are out the window. They can't make this combo work. It has to be Sagir. So this is the one kind of expensive point of the team that can't be replaced. And then next we're putting in Ardreth. Okay, we need Ardreth in here because not only is she giving us this massive 30% increased defense on her passive, which is again increasing the shields that Garius does. He shields based on his defense, but also she increases healing on her ultimate by 50%, which again, the more Garius is healing with this ult, the bigger the shields from the staff are. So we're getting multiple compounding factors. We're getting his defense up, stacks from his passive, goes to 20 stacks. This is 40% extra defense. We're getting her defense up from her passive. That's another 30% extra defense. And then we're also increasing his healing by 50%. And so that all adds up to a massive shield from the staff. It's like 80, 90k shield. And if you can keep that shield up on your team for like 95% of the fight, then they're pretty much unkillable. Like I said, they got to 240 stacks. That's better than the Zephy and Ogok teams can even do. So we are turn boosting Garius by having him placed into the arena first, and we're timing Ardreth's ult so that she is giving that healing increase before Garius does. So to have her timing align with him, we want her also to be ulting every 13.3 seconds. We want them both to be ulting every 13.3 seconds. So to do that, I also had to build some skill haste. Now, the nice thing is Ardreth already has a low cooldown. Her base cooldown is 19 seconds, and then with scrolls, it goes down to 16 seconds. So she doesn't really need that much extra help. You don't have to put Hourglass on her if you don't want. That's an option if you want to get more battle skills, but that's kind of overkill. I was able to get enough skill haste and get her cooldown down to 13.3 by just using the incense burner. This is an epic artifact a lot of you guys will have. Once you max this out, it gives 10% ultimate energy. And as long as her cooldown, you take whatever cooldown her current skill haste on her gear is, I have 45, and then you multiply that by 0.9 because this artifact is giving her 10%. So 0.9 of her current cooldown, which is 14.7, is, I don't know, it's like 13.2 or something. So her actual cooldown on the ultimate, even though it doesn't read that way, the incense burner gets applied after the battle starts, so you have to take that into account. Her actual cooldown is 13.2, not 14 points, whatever her cooldown is saying here on the tooltip. So keep that in mind. Both of these cooldowns are misleading. This one's 16.7, it says. This one's 14.7, it says. But actually, they are both able to ult every 13.3 in this team. And so you have Ardreth ulting, and I have her set up to ult 9.9 seconds before Garius. That's intentional. So if I had her going, like, let's say I had her go right before Garius, 0.1 seconds before Garius, that would still work for increasing his healing, but then we would have 10 seconds of time where she could have been auto-attacking to cleanse. So when she can cleanse on her auto-attacks, after she ults for 10 seconds. So the idea with her ulting 9.9 seconds before Garius is that she has a 10-second window to auto attack before he gets hit by the boss, and hopefully cleanse him. Because if he gets hit while he has defense penalty, there's a chance, even though it's very low, because you know he can tank a lot. Even Garius with defense penalty can tank a lot, but there's a chance he could get one shot. So we want her to go 9.9 seconds before him to give her a chance to cleanse him with the auto attacks. And then right before her healing buff expires, he is ulting, giving us a massive shield, and we're repeating that every 13.3. So 13.3, if you multiply that times 3, that is 40 seconds. So basically, this team is doing 3 ults every 40 seconds. So all I had to find was a rotation where those 3 ults every 2 turns work for protecting my team, and then it just repeats every 2 turns. The same rotation repeats. It keeps repeating. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this team, which is a kind of annoying thing with how the game is coded, is that these extra 3s here I have at the end don't actually matter. The boss on Vortex, or at least the timings on Vortex, it only goes to the first decimal point. So, 13.3 infinity would be the ideal timing for this team, but we can't do that. We can only go to 13.3. This extra number afterwards, these don't matter. So what's happening every round is, because we can't do 13.333 infinity, we are falling behind by 0.03 seconds each turn. Which what that does is that ends up pushing the timings either forward or backward, depending on what your timings are, every turn by a little bit. So the way I have this set up to account for that is I have their timings intentionally wrong at the start of the fight. Now, when the boss has only a few stacks, in the beginning of the fight, he doesn't do any damage anyway. Your team's going to be able to handle getting hit. The timings can be off, and it's not a big deal. But when the stacks get higher and the boss starts to do more damage, you need the timings to align then so that you can protect yourself. So I have intentionally set the timings to be a little bit off at the start so that by the time it really matters, they align and our team is being protected. And then eventually, if you're somehow able to get to 300, 400 stacks, I don't know. I've never been able to get that far. The timings would probably break again, and then it would, get worse as well. So this is the window with the 24.5 and 14.6 that felt the best for me. The timings are a little bit off at the start, but they align when we need them, and they don't break until we're dead. We die before they end up breaking, the timings breaking. So this works. This is a great setup. And then the timings, let's go over everyone. So we have him at 24.5, 21.6. So 21.6. You might wonder, why do I have this 0.6? A lot of people know about the 21-second timing because the boss's ult has a delay on it. So you can get an attack penalty or a defense up buff or something like that. Here, we'll just put it on auto real quick and show you what I mean. You can get that attack penalty or defense up to last for 3 of the boss's skills. And the 21-second timing is the only timing where that works, because a lot of these other skills that the boss does, these happen exactly, they pause time and they happen exactly when they're listed at 15 seconds here. But the ult, it has this delay. It's happening 1.6 seconds after 20 seconds. So if we ult at 21.6, we're putting up an attack penalty that is not only blocking the whole wave-breaking halberd attack, the whole Call of Lightning, and the whole ult. So it's protecting us for 3 separate boss abilities. So that's why we have him at that timing. That's the most ideal timing for any kind of attack penalty or defense up. And you can go lax on this. You can go 21 seconds and it'll still cover all 3. The reason why we're doing 21.6 is because we have Bledin at 11.6, and this is the most skill haste I could get on him. So I want him ulting 10 seconds before before Sagir, and I'll go into that next. So the reason I have that is because we're using 2 defense penalty artifacts. One on Sagir, the crown. He has a 2-hitting ultimate, so he should have a good chance to apply this crown. And then we're using another defense penalty artifact, the Witch's Remains, on Bledin, who has a 3-hitting ultimate, so he also should have a pretty good chance of applying this every time. And by alternating every 10 seconds with their ults, we're basically able to keep the boss under defense penalty the whole fight. Half the fight with defense penalty 1, the other half of the fight with defense penalty 2. And because our main DPS here, Gerthin, does most of her damage on her battle skills, it doesn't really matter when defense 1 or defense 2 is up. She's going to be benefiting for extra damage regardless. And that's also another reason why we don't time her, because she has a low cooldown, 16 seconds. If we delayed her timing to ult after Bledin each round, delayed her by 4 seconds, with how long these fights are, like 30 minutes long, 240 stacks, by cutting off 4 seconds from her ult, that would end up being like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 less ults in the Vortex run. So for that reason, we're just going to leave her on default. It doesn't matter when she's hitting the boss with her battle skill or ultimate. There's going to be defense penalty applied no matter what, and she'll get the max damage that way. So let me go back to going over every character one by one systematically. So Sagir, we have the crown on him to apply that. And then he's the only person on the team that I feel you can use this on, the Cyril set. So when he applies this crown or his attack penalty or whatever, he's doing a debuff, which is then going to buff your team's damage by 15% for the next 10 seconds with this Cyril set. So he's a great user. It would be better on someone who had also a battle skill that does a debuff. Unfortunately, no one in his team has that, so you only have about 50% uptime. Maybe it would be worth it to go another Cyril set on Bledin. That's an option you could do, but I have him currently built for damage. That's another option you could do. I haven't tested that too much, but so we have him because his DPS does not matter. He does no damage. None of these three do any damage. These last two, Bledin and Gerthin, are doing all of it, and Gerthin is by far the most. She's doing like 60-70% of the damage. It's crazy. So he's giving that damage bonus to us every time he ults, and we just kind of have him built with accuracy and some defense, maybe some HP. It really doesn't matter. He doesn't really do much damage. Actually, I think we got greedy. Yeah, we did. I went attack percentage, crit rates, a bunch of damage stats with accuracy, because he also doesn't die first. He's pretty tanky on his own. He has this defense up on his battle skill. So I tried to get some extra little bit of damage out of him. I might as well, right? But yeah, his damage is negligible. So the gear really doesn't matter. As long as you have enough accuracy on him, you're good to go. As long as you have enough accuracy on him, you're good to go. Now do keep in mind, I think skill haste might affect, it's hard to tell. I'd have to do like a timer or something, but I think it might affect how often the recharge speed or the recharge passive happens. I only have 20 skill haste on them though, and this team works just fine with just that, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But yeah, maybe if you put more skill haste on him, you can get this passive to happen more often. I don't know. Maybe there's some way to break the game where you get like 200 skill haste on this guy, and you can get him to do this passive so often you can get Garius down to 10 seconds, and then you can actually have permanent shields on the boss. But I could never get that to work. I did try it. I tried Hourglass and everything on him. It couldn't get to work. Couldn't get it to work. But anyway, so this is my Sagir build. Just, Cyril set with a bunch of damage stats just for fun, because he doesn't die first anyway. Might as well go for some extra damage, and accuracy for landing debuffs. You want to have plenty of accuracy. If you miss attack penalty at some point in the fight, you're gonna die, because the boss has so many stacks. He's doing so much damage. You're gonna die. So he's covering 3 of the boss's abilities with attack penalty. Then Garius is covering pretty much everything besides 1 hit every 2 rounds with the shield. And for him, I'm using Ancestral Protection. So he's going to absorb some of the damage that everyone takes, and he's also going to take 15% less damage from the boss. So because he never dies on the AoEs, the only time he ever dies is on the Call of Lightning, the single target hit, and he usually would have gotten a heal off before that. He's always going to be full HP when he gets hit by that Call of Lightning. So this is basically free damage reduction. The damage share part of this doesn't matter. It's not like it's going to get him killed any earlier, because he'll get a heal off and be full HP before he gets hit by that Call of Lightning. So this, having this set on him, basically makes your whole team have 15% damage reduction. He's not going to die from that shared damage, and then also have him take 15% less damage when he gets hit by that Call of Lightning, which might be the pivotal point at which your team finally does die when Garius gets one shot. So we're just stacking defense. That's the only stat that ever matters on this guy. You want a little bit of HP because you want him to be the main tank. I currently have 68,000, and my Ardreth is just behind him at 67,000, so it works out just nicely. But he has to have the highest HP on your team. That's another reason why we're not stacking HP to get more damage out of Sagir. His damage does scale with HP, But if we stack too much on him, then he's going to end up becoming the main tank, which we don't want. We want Garius to be the one getting hit, because if someone else gets hit by the Call of Lightning, Sagir will then change his targeting to heal them with the passive, and the whole combo falls apart. So Garius has to be the main tank. He has to have the most HP. So you might need to get some defense gear that also has a bit of HP on it. So I have a bit of that. I have a bit of HP here and there. The gear is nothing crazy. I'm here on the test server. They give us limited gear to roll, and I'm just using whatever the best gear I could make. But it all is legendary, so it's going to take you a while to get this kind of gear, even though it's not the best. And then with Ardreth, we are actually doing a kind of a strange build. You might be wondering, what the hell is this? But she also does not die first. Your DPS or Garius are usually the ones that are going to die first. Whether Garius gets one shot or you get to really high stat counts and there's defense penalty on your DPS and they get one shot. Ardreth and Sagir are usually not going to be the first to die. So they don't have to be built full tank. So with her, she scales with defense. Her damage scales with defense. She does auto attacks that heal based on defense as well. So you just want to stack as much defense as possible. But then we're also going attack speed, and you might be wondering why. It's because each auto attack has a chance to cleanse, and then on top of that does extra damage based on defense. So attack speed is actually really good on her. So we have a 2-set Gambler on her to give her some attack speed, and then we have a 2-set Emperor. You can also use the Cyril set. We just have to use, or you could use the, hold on, I need to remember the name on this one. It's the other skill haste one, this one. The Mona Lisa set. Any other set that gives her 20 skill haste. We're just trying to get a bit of skill haste on the other part of the gear. Because, yeah, we're trying to get Incense Burner to give us that 10% reduction and another roughly 45, 46 skill haste on the rest of the gear. So I have one set with skill haste, and then I have a bit of skill haste on the runes. Nothing crazy. This is very achievable. 45 skill haste with 20 from the gear. That just means you need just 25 skill haste across 2 runes. That's very achievable. And then the Gambler is giving that attack speed that allows her to cleanse more often and heal more often. And again, we're just building her full defense. We're not needing any other stat than that. We're actually trying to avoid HP. We don't want her to become the tank. So if you have too much HP on this gear, she will become the main tank, which is not good. Unfortunately, I don't have any other runes that have this much skill haste on the test server. Ideally, you would have a defense rune with skill haste. But I only have this HP rune. But yeah, we're just stacking defense and getting around 45 skill haste with the Incense Burner. And yeah, that's her gear. Next, we have Bledin. So Bledin's role in this team is he's an enabler. He gives ice crystals on this ultimate to Gerthin. She's the main DPS. She does all the damage. And he's buffing her and giving her ice crystals. Because we don't have Cinna in this team giving ice crystals to Bledin, and he can't give ice crystals to himself, he's going to kind of lack on damage a little bit. So that's why we're using him for more utility purposes of applying this Witch's Remains. We could go Witch's Remains on Sagir and then build him full damage, but it's really not going to equal more damage. Really, this whole team's focus is just getting as much damage out of Gerthin as possible. So going Witches on him for a higher chance to apply it, since he has 3 hits and Sagir only has 2 hits, and then also being able to alternate defense penalty artifacts with both of them having one, is adding up to more damage overall. So I have him with accuracy. We have an accuracy rune. We have this accuracy from the Witch's Remains, and we have a bit of accuracy as substats on the gear. And then keep in mind that his skills have 20% additional crit rate, which is really nice. So you only ever need to get 80% on him. So the way I have him built actually is with, I think I have crit damage gloves even. No, I have crit rate, never mind. I have crit rate gloves. I'm going for 80% crit rate, a bit of crit rate, a bit of crit damage and attack. Not that important though, because again, he's more of a support than a damage dealer on this team, and he has enough accuracy, he shouldn't miss applying the Witch's Remains. Unless he gets, that unlucky chance where all 3 hits somehow, miss. But anyway, next we have Gerthin. So this is the main damage dealer. You're going to be putting your very best gear on her. So with keeping that in mind, I did kind of gear her really, really well on the test server here, because I'm expecting people with this team to be putting their very, very best gear, that has like triple damage rolls, attack, crit rate, crit damage, etc. on them. So I have very good gear on her, so keep that in mind. But yeah, we're going with crit damage gloves because, again, she has a beautiful skill on her battle skill, crit rate bonus for 5 seconds. And because ice crystals allow her to spam this battle skill, basically like it's an auto attack, she's doing this battle skill every second. So this crit rate buff never falls off. And the same thing with this crit damage. Every time she obtains a crit ice crystal, the hero gains a crit damage buff. So when Bledin gives her ice crystals, when she gets an ice crystal from her ultimate, she is getting this crit damage buff. It's not 100% uptime, I don't think, but it's close to it. So she has like 100% uptime on bonus crit and nearly 100% uptime on bonus crit damage. So this is what makes this character so insane for damage. So again, we're going 85% crit rate. You only need 80, just 80. Then you're always going to crit with this buff. And we're stacking as much attack and crit damage as humanly possible. She is our main damage dealer. She's doing 60-70% of the damage. The more damage stats you can get on her, the higher your score is going to be. So she's the one that you want your perfectly rolled gear on. And we have the Mana Core statue. So because most of these Ice Blast guys do pretty much all their damage, or most of their damage is on their battle skill, they're only ulting every 16 seconds, but they're battle skilling every second. And this ability is doing a lot of damage. 290 times 2, it's doing like 580. 580 on a battle skill is a lot. And then keep in mind with the, I'm going to show you the Psyche Core. The Psyche Core for Ice Blast is absolutely insane. They gain an extra 400% attack, cold damage, when they cast a skill. And the battle skill is a skill. So every second they're doing the battle skill, they're hitting for, like I said, she's hitting for 580 plus 400 from this Psyche Core. She's hitting for 980 every second. That's like, most characters only have that kind of damage on their ultimate every 20 seconds, and she's doing that every second. So that's why you can understand how these teams with Ice Blast get so much damage, is because it's absolutely broken. And then we didn't even cover the set bonus yet. So the set bonus we use on both her and Bledin, and I think, like I said, you could maybe swap this set for Cyril if you wanted a more damage, have this attack up buff up all the time. If you put Cyril set on Bledin, since he's already conveniently alternating every 10 seconds with Sagir, you could get 100% uptime on this buff. But for now, I'm using the Inventor set. This is the best damage set for Ice Blast and almost every other character in the entire game. There's a handful of Gambler users who do like 10 hits on the ultimate that are better with Gambler, but for almost everyone else in the game, the Inventor set does the most damage, because not only does it give you crit rate and attack, which are beautiful passive stats to get, but every time the wearer casts a battle skill or an ultimate, they receive a 8% damage bonus for 15 seconds. Now, with Ice Blast guys doing their battle skill on repeat, they have this at 4 stacks all the time. They are constantly getting that 32% damage bonus all the time, the whole fight. But even non-Ice Blast characters with like even a little bit of skill haste, like 20 skill haste, it's not much, they can have 3 stacks all the time and 4 stacks some of the time. So that still is going to be a massive damage bonus for even non-Ice Blast characters. If you look back at like Season 1's Platinum Knight set that gave bonus damage for 10 seconds after the ult, that was an amazing set, and you would use that on a lot of different people, even if they didn't benefit much from the Enlightenment. But this set, it just blows that out of the water. You're getting the crit rate, which you really want on all your damage dealers, and then you're getting basically permanent damage bonus the whole fight. Whether it's 3 or 4 stacks, it's still amazing. It's either 24% or 32% the whole fight. And then last up, artifacts. Let's go over the artifact on her. So Mana Core, like I said, these Ice Blasts do almost all their damage with their battle skill. It makes the most sense to have her battle skill do an extra 20% damage. And then yeah, we've showcased everything here. So I want to go over a couple things that you can change to get a little bit more damage if you have it. So if you have Hourglass, you can replace Incense Burner with Hourglass. That's going to make her do her battle skill more often, which is nice. It's going to allow you to drop any skill haste on the gear and maybe go more attack speed, maybe finish a Gambler set if you're feeling spicy about it. Get more defense on the runes. You can drop the skill haste entirely. Also, I've been testing, and this artifact here, because this team has 4 melees, this artifact, hold on, I forgot the name of it. Where is it at? One second. I can't even find it. Hold on, I'm blind. There it is. The God of War's Blessed Belt. This gives the wearer a 6% damage bonus for every melee hero in the team. And conveniently, this team has 4 melee heroes. Though that's a 24% damage bonus all the time, just permanent. So this Mana Core is giving a 20% damage bonus to the battle skill only. This is giving a 24% damage bonus to everything, including the ult, wherever it is, if I can find it again. Here it is. And I tested this against the blooms, which some of you guys might have. It did better. Believe that. This is a Ice Blast, pretty much Ice Blast exclusive artifact, and you need to get a Frost dupe to even get this artifact, but this got outperformed by this generic one on this team, because this is one of those few teams that has 4 melees that gets a lot of value out of this artifact. So 24% more damage all the time on everything, and a really high, 60% bonus attack. So those are a couple artifacts you can swap out to get more out of this team. Everything else I would keep the same. And the gear, it can be improved. I by no means have perfect gear here on the test server. There's always room for improvement, but it is fairly good, and it is also, I would say, fairly achievable. I already have on my main account some gear similar to this. I think my Girthin has similar stats already on my main account, just by farming a lot of goblin, or not goblin, by farming a lot of venom and some of the rune dungeons. But yeah, this is the team. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys can get that juicy 60 million. I mean, that's a beautiful score to be getting as someone who's relatively low spender, who only has Sagir as their one of their legendaries, and was able to get some of these epics. It does require some artifacts, obviously. A lot of people will have witches, and then hopefully you guys can get another dupe if you don't have it yet and get the staff, because this is what makes this team possible. And then yeah, Ardreth, everyone can get these epics. Hopefully you guys have them. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching. And again, appreciate the shout out from Stu. And hope you guys can have as much success with this team as I have. And I can't wait to get Ardreth so that I can use it on the main server. And this is a reason why you should be doing your best to get Ardreth, and following whatever my guides, Stu guides, whoever has guides out there for getting 22 million on the Ardreth bosses. You should be following those and do your best, because as you can see from this team, Ardreth has some massive potential. And this is only Vortex. There might be other areas of the game where you can use her in a similar way with Garius and staff to completely trivialize content, whether that's arena, whether that's other gear dungeons or whatever. Fey Meander, maybe just having these massive shields will allow you to beat hard Fey Meander fights. But anyway, you guys should be trying your best to get Ardreth to make this team, and I would say it's relatively budget, all things considered. Doing 60 million damage when other teams of similar caliber are, full legendary, maybe some inspirations, full legendary artifacts. On my main server, the teams getting around that much damage are pretty whales. They're pretty much whale teams. So I'm pretty proud of this, getting this amount of damage with 3 epics, 1 legendary you need to have that maybe is hard to get, but he is on the Horn, so even some free-to-play players might have him from the Horn. And then Ardreth, which, again, everyone can get. So thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.